Bart Gets Hit is the season premiere of the second season of The Simpsons. Now, in the summer of 1990, Fox announced that The Simpsons will now be airing on Thursday nights alongside The Cosby Show. They tend to do this with up-and-coming shows to compare them to their current hits, just to see how well they do in the ratings. And the media dubbed this Bart versus Bill. Because of this, the creators of The Simpsons decided that a Bart-centric episode should be the season premiere, so they chose Bart Gets an F. Now, Bart Gets an F is all about Bart not trying to get another F. What did you expect? This is the first time that we see Bart actually trying in school and studying, and he even asks Martin to help him. We can even see him praying to God to help him and give him more time to study because he is not prepared. This is also the first time that we see Miss Krabappel actually show some sort of sympathy towards Bart, as when he shows his knowledge of the test, she marks his grade up 1 point and he passes. Nancy Cartwright makes this whole episode work through how she portrays Bart, along with Marcia Wallace portraying Edna Krabappel, and how they just bounce off each other for the dialogue, and it just makes it work amazingly. And the whole snow scene is one of the best looking scenes in The Simpsons, in my opinion. I mean, it's just amazing. Go back and watch it.
Simpson and Delilah is a fun episode. Homer buys $1,000 worth of Demoxidil, and using it, he gets a lot of hair. Due to this hair, he gets promoted at the power plant, but then when everything is going good for once, Bart spills the rest of the Demoxidil, and Homer loses all of his hair. And then he gets demoted back to his old position. I really like how they're all watching TV together at the beginning. Hitler, North Dakota made me laugh, and it always does. And from the TV, the episode gets right into the plot. Doesn't waste any time, which is great, because a lot of episodes don't do that. Carl is also a great character, and everything with Mr. Burns is hilarious. I like the cut of his jib in this episode, and how he casually says walking down the stairs, "Oh hey home man, I was watching the Dumont last night." It's a great line and great delivery. The ending with Marge and Homer is also very sweet. Dear God, give a bald guy a break. Treehouse of Horror is the first and only Treehouse of Horror to have a treehouse in it. There are 3 segments: Bad Dream House, Hungry Are the Damned, and The Raven. Firstly, I like the Marge opening. I think it's very in character and kind of funny. Bad Dream House is my favorite segment. The Vortex is great. Don't throw your garbage into our dimension. Homer's phone call is fun, how it just escalates and then turns into nothing. And I like how Marge screams at the house, and then it kills itself to avoid the Simpsons forever. Hungry Are the Damned is the first appearance of Kang and Kodos, and they abduct the Simpsons family. I think the lighting on the UFO and when the aliens abduct the Simpsons is amazing. It's such a neat looking shot. My question is, if the aliens didn't want to eat the Simpsons, why would they talk in metaphor the whole time as if they would eat the Simpsons? Then there's the Raven. I wish the Simpsons did things like this more. Taking a poem or a short story and just visualizing it in the Simpsons world. Homer reading the poem is also really funny. In the end, Homer being scared by all three of the stories is a great way to tie everything together. It's no HBO though. Yeah, it costs extra. 2 Cars in Every Garage and 3 Eyes on Every Fish is a decent Mr. Burns episode. It starts with Bart and Lisa fishing and finding Blinky, the 3-eyed fish. His mutation was caused by the power plant, and because of this, the power plant has to have a government inspection. Because of all the things that they found wrong, Mr. Burns wants to do something about it. So he runs for governor to prevent any more inspections. Homer supports him, Marge and Lisa hate him, and at the end he has dinner at the Simpsons. And Marge serves Blinky for dinner, which causes Burns to lose the election. I really like the fishing intro. I think it's really nice. It's a good change of pace, and it's something that we don't see that often, just Bart and Lisa hanging out and relaxing together. The inspection is full of fun gags, like the plutonium rod as a paperweight, and all of Mr. Burns' excuses are great. Drunk Burns is interesting, as we don't see it much, but he's actually nicer to Homer when he's drunk. The newspaper shots are really fun, but too common, and the dinner's a fantastic way to end the plot, especially with the shot of the chewed up piece of Blinky flying over the table. Dancin' Homer is an underrated episode. Homer's at Moe's telling the story of how he became the mascot for a Major League Baseball team, and how he is no longer a mascot for a Major League Baseball team. I like how this episode is all told from a flashback, and everyone at Moe's is listening to Homer's story and is super interested. It kind of reminds me of Cheers. All just sitting down at a bar, talking about life. All the Burns stuff at the beginning of the episode is great. Bart, Lisa, and Unexpecting, and him and Homer yelling out to the players was all hilarious. You could tell the writers had a lot of fun writing with Burns. The whole opener of the stadium is personally my favorite part of the episode. The Jumbo Vision looks like something out of a Simpsons PC game from the early 90s. And I like seeing Bleeding Gums getting more screen time. I always really liked his character. And then the Simpsons moving to Capital City is amazing visually. I like how it's actually a big city, to show the contrast between Springfield and Capital City, and the huge change that the Simpsons are going through. Also, a Capital City goofball will always be a standout character to me. The crowd yawning was crazy though. Dad Pudding Society is a mean episode, but in a good way. Homer gets annoyed at how great Flanders has it, and by chance they're both at the Sir Puddalot's Merry Old Fun Center. And they notice that there's a tournament going on. So Homer and Ned make a bet after entering Bart and Todd into the tournament. The bet is that the father of the boy who doesn't win has to wear their wife's Sunday dress and mow the other father's lawn. Spoiler, neither of the boys win, as Bart and Todd both decide to make it a draw. I like how this episode makes me dislike everyone but Bart, Lisa, and Todd. Homer and Ned are really annoying and really petty. Homer when he's pressuring Bart and Ned at the beginning of the episode. Homer and Ned's fight is just so stupid. Like, really? Your beer's from further away? But I like seeing Bart and Lisa work together, and Todd and Bart get along in the end. I do like this Ned way better than the Flanderized Ned later in the series. He feels like a person in this episode, opposed to how he feels like a cartoon character later on, even though that's what he is. Right, Mr. Putter? Bart vs. Thanksgiving is such a good episode, and I had no idea. Completely forgot about it. So, Lisa made a centerpiece for Thanksgiving, and Bart and her got into a fight, and it ended up in the fire. Lisa runs away crying to her room, and Bart is sent to his room. So then he runs away with Santa's little helper. They end up at a food shelter that the rest of the Simpsons happen to see on TV. Bart returns home, but is hesitant on entering, so he goes on the roof. And he hears Lisa, so he invites her up on the roof, and they reconcile, and Bart apologizes. The Thanksgiving Day parade is great. Bill and Marty make no sense, which is hilarious. And the Bart balloon is really confusing, continuity-wise. This is also like the realest episode of The Simpsons. Bart trying to help Marge and all the banter at Thanksgiving, and Bart and Lisa fighting and ruining things, just feels like something that would happen. Also, Homer got Patty and Selma's names wrong, which I think is funny. Probably unintentional, but it's still funny. On that note, why does Marge's family suck? They're just all so negative, even though Marge is trying her best and is actually a good person. Why are they like this? Even their mom. Just really negative. But the end of the episode is very heartwarming, with Marge and Homer listening to Lisa and Bart reconcile. So, everyone is happy and everything is resolved. Bart the Daredevil is the Simpsons jump the gorge moment. The kids are watching wrestling and they see Truckosaurus, and so does Homer and Moe's. So the Simpsons go and see Truckosaurus, but are running late due to Lisa's saxophone recital. And they end up in the Truckosaurus arena. Their car is crushed, and the Simpsons get to see the whole show for free. At the show, they see a Daredevil, Lance Murdoch. And Bart thinks it's so cool, he becomes a Daredevil, performing jumps on his skateboard and eventually wants to jump Springfield Gorge. Homer tries to stop him, but then mistakenly stands on Bart's skateboard and jumps the gorge, unsuccessfully, and ends up falling down the gorge. Twice. I like the opener of the kids watching wrestling together and the drunks watching it at Moe's to show the similarities between Bart and Homer. Any episode where Bart and Homer get along is an A+ in my book. The Simpsons driving home in a crushed car is funny, and Otto is really strange in this episode. Well, Laurie's just being Otto. I do like the montage of Bart performing jumps. I just wish we got to see more of Bart actually being a Daredevil. Overall, the episode's okay. Homer and Marge caring so much about Bart is really nice to see. Itchy and Scratchy and Marge is a fun episode. Maggie hit Homer on the head with a mallet due to something she saw on Itchy and Scratchy. So Marge bans the kids from watching any cartoons, and she tries to either ban the show entirely or get it changed to make it so it's not so violent. Eventually her efforts worked when she founded SNA, Springfieldians for Nonviolence, Understanding, and Helping, and the show was forced to change. After Marge helped write an episode, it was so terrible, all the kids in Springfield go outside and decide to not watch cartoons anymore. And then the whole episode gets derailed when the statue of David is in town. And it's made the next victim of SNA. And Marge actually likes the statue. So everything that happened in the episode kind of just gets reversed. I like the mundane parts of this episode. The things that would be dull. Like when Marge is making pork chops. Twice. Specifically the first time when she's making them and she's saying the recipe out loud. And Homer and Marge are talking and Homer just declares that he's going to make her a spice rack. And reading the book to how to do it is hilarious. My favorite step is picking up a hammer. There's a lot of Krusty the Clown-centric characters that were introduced in this episode, like Sideshow Mel, Roger Myers Jr., and Corporal Punishment. To me, everything in this episode is great before the statue of David is mentioned. And then it all just kind of goes downhill after that. It feels out of nowhere, but the screwballs have spoken. Krusty's hilarious on Smartline in this episode. And who knew that mice live such interesting lives? Bart Gets Hit by a Car is the Simpsons episode in which Bart gets hit by a car. The episode opens with Bart on a skateboard, then Burns hits him with his car. Then the rest of the episode is Homer and Lionel Hutz trying to sue Mr. Burns to get a lot more money than Marge is comfortable with. Eventually, Marge is called to the stand, and she admits that it's all a lie. And for the 3 or so minutes left in the episode, it's a marriage crisis episode. For some reason. I like the first 2 acts because they actually do what the episode's supposed to do. It gets right into the plot. But I don't like the marriage crisis episode of Act 3. This is the worst kind of marriage crisis also. It's just shoehorned in at the end for no reason. Some of the things in this episode just don't make sense. Like, who let Mr. Burns drive? And how can Burns make such a good circle? Canonically, in this episode, Bart died. And it was cool to see Snowball 1 in heaven. And there are a few cool fantasy sequences in this episode, like in the court scene. And the POV shot of Homer looking up at the very end of the episode is very nice looking. Easily the best part is Phil Hartman's performance as Lionel Hutz. It never gets old. One Fish, Two Fish, Blowfish, Bluefish is a very sweet episode. Homer possibly eats the poisonous part of a blowfish and is granted only 22 hours left to live. So he makes a list of all the final things he wants to do, without anybody but Marge knowing. The sushi restaurant is great. I like the chefs yelling at the family, then Homer yelling back at them, and everybody getting scared. It's a hilarious sequence. Bart and Lisa's karaoke's fun. My concern is, how much are the Simpsons spending there? That stuff's not cheap. I really like Homer's planning with his list. It's really sweet, especially that he just wants to do the simple things, especially with his family. I like listening to Lisa play the saxophone in that scene. It's really fun. And Bart and Homer's man-to-man and Bart learning to shave is really nice. Everything with Abe is great. Sucks that they never dance the Hootsy Coo, though. The Barney stuff is kind of annoying because Homer needs to get home. But from Barney's side, I get it. It still just irritates me every time I see it. And in the end, Homer lives, which is kind of obvious now. But still, it doesn't lessen the tension of the fact that he could die. I do really like the credits with Homer eating pork rinds, though, and just watching bowling. You can tell he's really enjoying life. The Way We Was is the story of how Marge and Homer met. The Simpsons family is watching TV, and then the TV goes out, and they can't repair it. So Homer and Marge tell the kids how they met. They're in high school, and Homer and Barney end up in detention for smoking in the bathroom, and Marge starts protesting, so she also ends up in detention. Homer instantly falls in love with her and tries to talk to her, but is given more detention because of his efforts. He then heads to the guidance counselor to find out what to do, and there he learns that she's into forensics. So Homer sees her and asks her to tutor him in French, even though he has no reason for it. So she tutors him, and they hang out till 1 a.m., with the forensics event happening the next day. While they're together, Homer asks Marge to go to prom, and she says yes. But then upon learning that he doesn't take French, she slaps him for wasting her time. Marge ends up going with Artie Ziff, but he lets his busy hands get the best of him. And Marge ends up going and finding Homer, and they're together at the end. I like seeing Homer, Marge, and Barney all young, especially with Homer singing Space Cowboy on the way to school. The sequence of Marge walking into detention is great visually. I don't like Artie, but you're not meant to. And I can't believe Homer actually learned French in one night. I can't help but feel bad for him, though. I mean, he's technically in the wrong, but it's Homer. Barney also streaked at prom. Homer vs. Lisa in the Eighth Commandment is an okay episode. It starts with Moses reading the commandments to a crowd, with emphasis on thou shalt not steal. It then cuts to modern day, and Homer chases down a cable guy to install cable illegally. The family all enjoys cable, but then it's time for church, and the kids go to Sunday school. They learn about hell and how if you don't follow the 10 Commandments, you'll go there. Lisa then becomes really scared for her family, especially Homer. So she tries to get Homer to get rid of cable. He does, eventually, feel guilty, but that's after inviting everybody to watch the big fight. So during the fight, the Simpsons are outside and everybody else is watching TV in their house. And in the end, Homer cuts the cable. I like the fantasy sequences in this episode, especially the one about Lisa in hell. And the shopping scenes are great, probably the highlight of the episode. I like Maggie in the background just throwing things in the carts. And Bart's small plot of watching dirty stuff on TV, then charging people to see it, is also fun, but it doesn't really go anywhere. The group of characters watching the fight is a strange group, with people like Barney and Abe drinking beer together. But it's fun to see. Overall, the episode is just okay. It's nothing special to me. Principal Charming is a pretty decent episode. Patty and Selma go to a coworker's wedding, and Selma realizes that she wants to get married. So Marge tasks Homer with setting her up. After analyzing a few potential candidates, Homer settles on Principal Skinner. But when Skinner meets Selma, he actually meets Patty, and then falls for her. He thinks they hit it off, and he asks her out. And despite Patty not wanting to go, Selma makes her. Eventually, after a few dates, Skinner and Patty start going out seriously, but then Skinner asks her to marry him, and she says she can't. So she returns to Selma. I like the random bowling pin car in Missouri, and how everybody's always trying to help Selma, but with just no luck. Skinner in the beginning is annoying, how oblivious he is to Patty not being interested at all. Hey, and look, there's Mole Man and Willie. Oddly enough, the A-plot is sad. I didn't think it would be so sad, especially with Skinner crying on the stairs in front of the school. Also, this is the Springfield Elementary Bell Tower episode. It's just used for this episode. That's it. Homer's man search is fun and a good gag. I like how Skinner's pros are using big words, dislikes the boy, and well-groomed. And dang, Patty hits hard. Skinner feel like 5 feet after that. Don't be stupid. Oh Brother, Where Art Thou is a great Simpsons travel episode. It opens with Grandpa and Jasper at the movies, then Grandpa complains and has a heart attack. And fearing that he's dying, he tells Homer about Homer's long-lost brother. Homer tries to find him and learns that his name is Herb Powell. And he finds his number, and Herb offers to fly Homer and his family out to Detroit and spend a while at his house. So that's what they do. And it turns out, Herb is a millionaire and earned all of his money by starting Powell Motors and selling cars. He's having trouble with his team not being able to come up with a car that he likes, so Herb chose Homer to create a car. Herb spent time with the rest of the family while Homer did this, but Homer's car ended up ruining Herb's business. I get why Herb blames Homer for everything, but it's Herb's fault. He's kind of a jerk at the end of the episode. Everything before Homer's car being presented is great. Herb's face reveal is perfect, and him spending time with the kids is really sweet, especially when they're all watching Itchy and Scratchy. Basically, the episode is all good. The ending just kind of soils it for me. Like, everything with Abe is hilarious, especially him flipping out at the theater, and then he starts complaining about the romantic subplot in the movie. But at the end, I can't feel good for Herb. I don't feel bad for Herb. I just feel really bad for Homer. Also, Baby Herb has a beard. Bart's Dog Gets an F is just an okay episode. Santa's Little Helper becomes a problem for the Simpsons. He tears up Homer's newspaper, eats Homer's breakfast, and runs throughout the neighborhood. Then they send Santa's Little Helper to dog school, but it doesn't work, and he screws up even more. And so Homer tries to get rid of him, but in the end, something finally clicks in his brain, and he listens. Then they keep him. I think The Simpsons, with an exception of Bart and kinda Lisa, are really thoughtless in this episode. They just leave everything around. No wonder Santa's Little Helper would tear things up. He's a dog. I think the school parts of the episode are very harsh. I don't like anything about it. The POV shots of Santa's Little Helper are cool. And I thought the Quilt B plot was good until he destroyed it. I like that Bart never gives up on him, and Lisa kind of doesn't. She gets angry about the quilt, but that's understandable. Despite things that are good in this episode, it just doesn't do it for me. It's too little with a sea of garbage. Old Money is a solid episode that packs a punch. It starts with the Simpsons deciding to make their monthly grandpa visit into a good thing. For the next couple of weeks, Abe meets B. Simmons, and they start to date, with this really nice montage. Then the Simpsons take Abe to Discount Line Safari, but it's terrible. And in that time that they're gone, B passes away. She leaves Abe $106,000, and he decides to spend it all. But it brings him no happiness. And because of that, B's ghost visits him while he's on a roller coaster and tells him to help people. So in the end, he spends all the money on the retirement castle, fixing it up. It has a sweet ending, but I very much dislike Homer in this episode. He's terrible, just a jerk. Abe is gold, and Lionel Hutz is hilarious, and he doesn't overstay his welcome. And Frank's here now. The casino's probably the highlight of the episode for me, and that pill scene is gross. It's so uncomfortable. Kinda funny still.
Brush with Greatness is a great family episode. The Simpsons go to Mount Splashmore, and Homer gets stuck in one of the tube water slides. And because of this, he starts a diet. And at the same time, Marge's old paintings of Ringo Starr are found in the attic. So she's encouraged to paint again, and eventually she enters an art contest and wins. So Mr. Burns hires her to paint a portrait of him. She's about to give up, then receives the letter from Ringo Starr saying how good her paintings are. So good, he hung them on his wall. Most things in this episode are great. H2O at Mount Splashmore, hilarious. Homer's swim trunks are really funny, and everything with Burns is great. Especially Beatles, eh? I really like how the A and B plots kind of work together. They're both self-improvement plots, with Homer losing weight and Marge working on her hobby that she previously gave up. Mr. Lombardo, phenomenal. With his even a rhombus delivery. There's not much negative in this episode. The only thing is Burns, but it's Mr. Burns, so is it really negative? Not really. Overall, fantastic time.
Lisa's Substitute is such a sweet episode. Miss Hoover is ill, and Mr. Bergstrom takes over as a sub for her class. Lisa grows really attached to him and starts to lose respect for Homer. Meanwhile, Bart runs against Martin for class president. Eventually, Mr. Bergstrom has to leave and gives Lisa a note that says, "You are Lisa Simpson." And Bart, after a long campaign, loses to Martin. The Simpsons are all having dinner, and Lisa flips out on Homer, calling him a baboon, and Marge sends Homer to go fix it. And he cheers her up. He also cheers up Bart, and helps Maggie, and he ends the episode on a 3 for 3. This episode is amazing. Dustin Hoffman's performance as Mr. Bergstrom is phenomenal, and everything with him can't be beat. I love how the episode doesn't just end with him leaving, but it shows the resolution of Homer being a good dad, as Lisa didn't respect him, but now she does. And I love how they didn't forget Maggie. Like, they still included her in the end and gave each of the 3 kids something, even though Maggie didn't have a plot. Everything just wraps up in this episode so neatly. One of the best episodes of the whole show.
The War of the Simpsons is an odd episode. Homer and Marge throw a party, and it ends with Homer making an ass of himself, staring down Maude's dress.
Marge and Homer have a fight, and they end up going to a marriage retreat on Catfish Lake. Homer ends up fishing, even though it's a misunderstanding. He catches General Sherman, and then when Marge finds him and yells at him, he throws General Sherman back. Meanwhile, when all this is going on, Grandpa's taking care of the kids. And the kids, mainly Bart, take advantage of him. And they throw a big party. Then Grandpa guilt trips them into cleaning the whole house, make it spotless, kind of. Everything with Grandpa is great. The B plot is easily the highlight of this episode, with the marriage crisis part just being okay. I'm not a big fan. Why did General Sherman have to wink? Like, really? Snake is here, though, so that's a positive. And we find out that Grandpa can dress himself, in case anyone was ever wondering. 3 Men in a Comic Book is a beautiful looking episode. Bart and Lisa go to a comic book convention, and Bart sees Radioactive Man issue 1, and Comic Book Guy is selling it for $100. So Bart does a lot of things to try to earn the money. He even works with Mrs. Glick. Eventually, Bart, Martin, and Milhouse go in 3 ways on the comic book, and it drives them to insanity, until they start fighting, almost kill each other, and end up destroying the comic book. This episode looks amazing, especially in the 3rd act. The lighting in the treehouse when it's raining and all the different shots, beautiful. It's great that the episode turns gloomy right as they buy the comic. It really shows the shift in their characters then. The 2nd act of the episode is fun, with all of Bart's attempts to try to get money. My personal favorite is Nickel Beer, and all the stuff with Miss Glicks is odd. She's such a strange character. Personally, I hope we see Busman. Blood Feud is a pretty forgettable episode. Basically, Burns is gonna die due to lack of blood, and he is a super rare blood type, being 00 negative. Turns out, Bart has it too, and Homer gets Bart to donate it to him. But then Burns writes the Simpsons a card, and nothing else, because Homer is being selfish. He's furious. So Homer writes a letter expressing how angry he is, then Marge convinces him not to mail it, and sleep on it. Then Homer isn't gonna mail it, but then Bart did. Burns reads it, gets really mad, and wants Homer to be beaten up. Instead, Smithers convinces Burns to be nice because Bart saved his life. Then Smithers and Burns gave the Simpsons family a giant head. And that's the episode. Burns is great in the episode, but like, when is he not? And him reading the letter and just getting more mad is funny. Bart and Homer writing the card is good. Also, Homer and Bart at the post office is hilarious. It's probably the best part of this episode. Other than that, it's just a mid-episode. Smithers can play the banjo, though.